Well, like, so usually when I see stories like this, ordinarily, sort of an impulsive subconscious behavior of mine would be to immediately post it to Telegram. But doing pretty good in that regard, staying well the fuck away from it for now. But regardless, this is the sort of thing that pissed me off at the time when I first started to notice what was going on around the Highlands of Scotland. And I don't necessarily think it's limited to just the Highlands, but obviously because I live up here, I started to notice it. This 20 mile per hour scheme that was initially sort of brandished as sort of temporary, and it never is when the Highland Council are concerned. Just think back to the sort of COVID regulation, shall we say. But I also find it somewhat funny, just before I continue on this, that like the Welsh government, and not that I'm too familiar with all things Wales related, don't get me wrong, but it was my understanding, or it is my understanding, I should say, that Wales had sort of put out some sort of 20 mile per hour speed limit like all across the country. And it's now starting, courtesy of like backlash and just blatant problems with that sort of legislation, it's starting to now be reversed. So the Welsh government reversed their 20 mile per hour speed limits back to 30 mile per hour in certain instances. But oh no, 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 no. Not here in Rainbow Unicorn Land, you know. In Scotland, we're different. And our difference is what makes a difference for all things people, planet, and sustainability. So yeah, anyway. So the 20 mile per hour program, it says on the Highland Council's website that the Scottish Government and the Scottish Green Party shared policy programme published on the 1st of September of 2021 included the commitment that all appropriate roads and built-up areas would have safer speed limits of 20 miles per hour by 2025. The National Strategy for 20 mile per hour speed limits aims to expand 20 mile per hour speed limits across Scotland and ensure that all appropriate roads and built-up areas have a safer speed limit of 20 miles per hour. So, going back to this article in question, though, Highland Council confirms plans to make reduced 20 mile per hour speed limits permanent in 125 northern Scottish communities, including Inverness. Right. Going on to say briefly here that they began introducing the lower limits across the north back in July of 2023 after securing temporary permission for the reductions as part of a safety pilot. Since then, they've been rolled out to more than 125 different communities. And then it goes on to say as well, just briefly, that a reduced 20 mile per hour speed limit is known to dramatically reduce the likelihood that a collision with a pedestrian will be fatal. And advocates say they are proven to save lives, although some have called them a waste of money, which has not cut car speeds by as much as hoped. You're no kidding. You're not kidding. Confirming the plan in a statement, the Highland Council said from January the 6th, a public consultation will run as part of the process to make the traffic regulation order for temporary 20 mile per hour speed limits permanent. So, you know, it reminds me, should I say, of 2020, for example, just briefly, you know, the talk of what's temporary and what's not. Highland Council was awarded back in 2020 over 750 grand to roll out a network of safe walking and cycling routes. And of course, they used the COOF is their justification for this. This is the Highland Council's website, by the way. But it says here that following. Ooh, what the fuck? Following an ambitious bid by Highland Council, supported by NHS Highland, to deliver rapid, active travel interventions in response to the COOF, the Highland Council has been awarded 752 grand from the Scottish Government's Spaces for People Fund, which is administered by Sustrans. Highland and the City of Inverness will see a rollout of temporary walking, wheeling, and cycling infrastructure along priority routes, with these measures allegedly being to ensure that people can move safely on essential journeys and whilst taking daily exercise. They will also form a key component of village, town, and city centre recovery strategies, right? So this people for places or spaces for people thing, Their website, I'm pretty certain, has changed to a certain extent because it never used to say, from my understand or my memory anyway, that it was temporary. But regardless, Spaces for People is a temporary infrastructure program which offered, it's all past tense now. It wasn't past tense last year. I'm almost certain of that. To support sorry, to make it safer for people who choose to walk, cycle, or wheel for essential trips and exercise during the COOF. Funded by the Rainbow Unicorn government and managed by Sustrans Scotland, the program to enabled. See, I'm sure they've edited this. The program to enabled. So I think it used to say the program enabled or the program enables, regardless. Statutory bodies to introduce measures focus on protecting public health, supporting physical distancing, and a reduction of virus transmission. Then it says walking, wheeling, or cycling in fresh air is not only positive for physical and mental health, but also helps people feel connected in times of isolation and can allow communities to discover their neighborhood. Right, you are. Right, okay. I mean, it just reeks of all things climate change, but don't let that fucking stop you with your pish. Then we've got this article here. This is this is just mental. Share this tab, right? This is the same thing, by the way. City centre barriers are still dividing opinion in the Highlands capital. I mean, this is how bad it got. This is how bad it got in Inverness. I mean, I remember it. It was mental. It was like they've totally butchered Inverness's city centre. There's like bollards and pillars everywhere, metal poles, etc. I mean, it just did nothing but sort of hamper traffic. Okay, but this was all temporary. Oh, it's all temporary. And don't get me wrong, some of this stuff has been removed over time, but what they did and what they're in the process of doing, I should just add as a sort of slight caveat, is they used the sort of congestion that this stuff created to then push forward to justify um, their push towards trying to pedestrianize Academy Street. And this has been an ongoing saga in Inverness between like the Highland Council and like the Eastgate Centre, which is like the shopping centre in the centre of Inverness. A lot of businesses in the surrounding area as well, off Academy Street, they're up in arms, have been up in arms. There was going to be a court case from memory as well on the head of it, or there was a court case pending because the businesses did not want the city centre of Inverness to become pedestrianised, right? But the Highland Council's argument was and continues to be, oh, but look at the congestion, look at the traffic, yeah, climate change. Yeah, but like a good portion of the congestion was directly as a consequence of the fucking shit show they left the city centre of Inverness in as a consequence of their Spaces for People program. Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, Jesus. Opinion over the controversial Spaces for People's barriers in the Highland capital remains sharply divided as the city heads into the new year. The barriers cost around 70 grand to install and were placed around the city to improve opportunities for people to socially distance while walking or cycling through the area. I mean, I don't think you need to be like a sort of conspiracy theorist to like see the direct correlation. I mean, everything's about climate change now. They're wanting to pedestrianize the city centre of Inverness. So it was almost like they were putting the things into motion early doors and they use COVID as their excuse, and but regardless, it's just this concept of what is and what isn't temporary. Nothing is ever fucking temporary, and that's the point. The Highland Council said that the COVID regulations and whatnot were going to be temporary. They made a point of saying in a few instances that the 20 mile per hour pilot was temporary, would be temporary, and lo and behold, it's not. I'm not going to be one of these people that turns around and says that, oh well, this is an attack on motorists. If they make everybody drive at 20 miles per hour, it's an attack on the motorists. No, it's not. It's not that far fetched in truth, because at the end of the day, this is not this 20 mile per hour scheme is not all over the Highlands. It's they claimed it was at built up areas, but I have noticed myself that it's also in areas that aren't what I would consider anyway to be built up per se. There is houses in the vicinity, but I wouldn't exactly say it's rife with children running around 24/7. I will also add as an additional little caveat, side note, whatever you will, that most people know themselves to drive a lot more carefully when they're in the sort of vicinity of highly pedestrianized areas, whether it's children or otherwise. It's only ourselves who do not use like some form of common sense in these instances. And it's like with every law, isn't it? Really? Because ourselves ain't going to follow the fucking laws anyway. So I really struggle to see what is the point of this. Your claims of it saving lives, what's that based on? What is it based on? And it's the exact same question that I asked back in the day, albeit it was rhetorical. It was the same question I asked when it came to their nonsense with their fucking Spaces for People program. How many lives do you really think were saved by making Castle Street in Inverness a one-way system and expanding paths and whatnot? You know, how many lives were really saved? But it is nonsense nonetheless. I do think things like this are nonsense, but it makes them look good. It justifies their positions in power, doesn't it? They have to be seen to be doing something, but you have to question, and I mean, this is a sincere question that will never get answered. Why is it that these people who have to be seen to be doing something never actually do anything that we fucking want and or need as a people? Food for thought. Anyway, and on that note, peace.